Alright, so obviously The Boys Season 3 is streaming now on Amazon Prime. We just had episode 4 come out this past Friday, but as I just started this channel, I wanted to review the episodes, but also talk about The Boys a little bit, because obviously there's 4 episodes so far, but there's 2 seasons so far. So I just kind of wanted to spend this episode just talking a little bit about my thoughts on The Boys as a whole. First of all, I love The Boys. I mean, this show is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, honest to God, I really think this is definitely my favorite superhero show, but it really rivals the movie, like superhero movies. You know what I mean? It's like on that level. In fact, they probably could have The Boys movie or two or whatever. I mean, I'm loving the vibe, right? And, you know, I love the dark gritty stuff, but it's almost like the first superhero show or, you know, form of entertainment that's really translated to the screen in any way that's gritty but real and grounded with superheroes that actually feels real, right? Obviously, Nolan did that with his Batman movies, and you know they try to do that with different movies here and there. But honestly, at this point, as much as I love the MCU, I'm tired of the MCU. I don't know what's going on with the DCEU. A lot of these shows, you know, MCU or whatever, you know, they have different superhero shows that are okay, but this is amazing. So I love The Boys. I love the whole premise of how there's superheroes like walking amongst us, and but they're not perfect, and sometimes they go off and do things they're not supposed to be doing, or they do bad things or break rules. And then there's other people who see this as an obvious threat and want to do something about it, which is what the you know rogue group The Boys is. It's a really interesting premise. It's got a great cast, great cinematography. The violence is a little over the top for me. I'm not like against violence, but man, the stuff I've seen in this show, you know, will send Tarantino running for his money. You know what I mean? I mean, and they continually like keep raising the bar as far as I mean, there's moments where my jaw actually drops just because of how crazy, violent and crazy some of these scenes are. One thing that's, you know, obviously the head popper episode, that was crazy. I mean, the first time I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I can't believe this is on TV, you know, like, man. I remember back in the day when The Simpsons was like a controversial show, you know what I mean? This is like, you know, and your mom or your grandma didn't want you watching controversial stuff or violent things. This is like, you know, this is violent. But it's really good. I kind of wish they could tone down the violence, or at least not show it like head on all the time. But everything else I love about this show. And you know what's interesting? I saw season 1. I never saw season 2. And I just forgot about The Boys a little bit. But once I heard season 3 was out, I was like, oh, let me go back and watch season 2 just to catch up and everything. And what's interesting is in the beginning of that season, I was thinking to myself, the whole Compound V thing is an interesting concept. And I had this thought, like, I wonder if, I just had this thought, like, maybe Compound V is like the culmination of what the Nazis were trying to do in World War II with their whole superior race thing. Maybe these, soups, as they call them, are the culmination of this research, in this world. And I thought that before I learned about all this Nazi stuff with Stormfront and everything like that. I wonder if it's still... So I was like, wow, that's a really interesting take. I don't think we really got an answer to that. If Compound V is just completely from the Nazis. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on in this show. There's so many different subplots and, characters doing different things. Sometimes I get lost. But it seems like the soups, and especially like Homelander, is sort of, it seems like the superior race idea that the Nazis had, right? So I guess that maybe that's where they're going with the whole Compound V thing, and who knows with Vought and where these roots really go and what's really going on here. I think there's still obviously a lot of stuff that we have to learn, right? But I'm loving it. And now obviously season 3, they introduced V24, which is really cool. And obviously Butcher and Huey are, using some of that, which is cool and funny. It's interesting in that, it's like, because if you think about it, like if superheroes did go bad, which I guess that's what supervillains are, but it's like, if they all decided to like take over a country or the world, like what would you do? Honestly, like even if you were fighting back, right? What are you going to do? So the V24 thing is interesting because it seems like there's a way for, potential like use in law enforcement and military and stuff like that to at least have some way of fighting back against these super powered individuals. So that's really interesting. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. I love all the characters. I love all the I love everybody. It's great acting. I really love Starlight. She's obviously a cutie. And I'm kind of shocked that a guy like Huey could land a chick like that. You know what I mean? He must be like, man, I really scored here, huh? But yeah, it's a great show. Obviously the last episode we saw, season 3, episode 4. We saw the return of Soldier Boy, and sometimes the boys like they do this thing where like they'll mention something and like or a character or some event, and it's like, oh, am I supposed to know that, or am I supposed to know who that is? But I think it's like they introduce it and then they explain it later on, type of thing. So I didn't know who Soldier Boy was. I never read the comics, so I have no idea. But it looks like obviously we have like a contender of someone that can go toe to toe with Homelander. But yeah, it's really interesting. I love seeing Homelander kind of like, after his whole encounter with Stormfront and that sort of like Nazi philosophy, it seems like it really stuck with him, right? Like, I'm sure he was thinking that type of stuff before, but now he's like kind of like coming out like, what are you going to do? I mean, he could attempt to like control the whole world, I guess. And what are they going to do? So it's really interesting. There's a lot of I love all the different subplots and seeing all the different characters. They all have their own agendas and stuff like that. There's people backstabbing, and then there's, it's a great show. It's fantastic. I think it's probably the best show on TV all around right now. And as cool as Soldier Boy is, let's not forget to give a shout out to Jamie the Flying Hamster. I really hope we get to see more of him. That's another example of what I mean of something that like, it's just a hamster, but I was like, wow, how about that? Like, this hamster's out of control. I don't know why they had a hamster there. I mean, thank God it was just a hamster and not like I don't know, like a gorilla or something. You know what I mean? I'm sure they've got other experiments going on with different animals, but I'd like to see a team of rabid flying hamsters, cruising through and, be something that these heroes have to contend with, right? I mean, imagine if those hamsters, like, imagine if there was a bunch of those hamsters that got loose and was just, like, running amok, right? Like, what are you going to do? That's really funny. So, yeah, I'm really digging it. It's still fresh. It's great, man. I love the boys. So, yeah, we'll definitely be keeping up with the episodes as they come out for the rest of the season. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.